All better audio. We're not just good, we're all better.
Attention! This is a production from the 40777. Making audio sound all better. That is all.
During my long and eventful association with Baker Street's most celebrated resident, I have chronicled 60 cases that have demonstrated the remarkable deductive powers and acute observational skills that made Mr. Sherlock Holmes the world's greatest consulting detective. But there were other instances which, for reasons of discretion, went unrecorded, that shine a less favorable light on Sherlock Holmes. Instances which prove that, on occasion, even a thinking machine, as Holmes described himself, was as human and as fallible as any of us. There were, in short, times when Mr. Sherlock Holmes got it wrong. Now that many years have passed since Holmes met his final end, after being stung to death by the bees he tended to in his twilight years, I consider that the world is finally ready for the misadventures of Sherlock Holmes. I am not a man who concedes easily to feelings of melancholia, but the weeks leading up to Christmas Day 1894 were somewhat difficult for me. I was still in mourning for my second wife, or was it my third, who had passed away that autumn, and when my thoughts turned to spending Christmas without her, it was with sorrow. I had promised myself that I would choose a potential new wife at the earliest opportunity. This would not be too difficult, since scarcely a day would pass without some fetchingly distressed young lady bustling into our rooms, begging for our help. Indeed, I already had my eye on a beautiful young creature called Miss Violet Spedding, who had only yesterday called upon Sherlock Holmes to help her father, who had been charged with the gruesome murder of a London banker. The poor, stunningly attractive young lady would need a shoulder to cry on as Holmes carried out his investigations, and I would selfishly offer up my services as comforter in her hour of need. No woman could resist such thoughtful treatment, and I had no doubt that the delectable Miss Violet would soon fall for my charms. But in the meantime I had Christmas to endure. I also had to endure the company of the erratic and unpredictable Mr. Sherlock Holmes. It was Christmas Eve, and I was just finishing my breakfast.
Watson? Watson, your revolver. Quickly, if you please.
Holmes, are you in danger?
Not at the moment, but I fear I shall be if Mrs. Hudson gets to see our visitor. Hence the need for some urgency, my good fellow.
Visitor? Whatever are you talking about, Holmes?
Hurry, you swine!
Really, Holmes, there's no need. Absolutely uncalled for. Such rudeness.
Well, not you, Watson. Now, your revolver, please.
Here, it is loaded. Now perhaps you would be so kind as to... Good heavens! It's a pig!
Your powers of observation astound me, Watson.
A pig?
Rather splendid, isn't he? I call him John because he never seems to stop eating, like a certain doctor I know.
A pig!
Don't be too hard on yourself, Watson.
What are you going to do with him, Holmes?
This. Stand back, Watson.
Holmes, you're not going to... My God, you have! Holmes, have you gone insane?
Just a moment, Watson. I haven't quite finished. Now, where did I put that axe?
Holmes.
Ah, here it is. Oh, Watson, would you be so kind as to take 3 paces forward, please? Better make that 4 paces forward, I think.
Holmes, I implore you, put down that axe.
That's just about perfect, Doctor. Thank you. Stand right there and don't move.
Holmes!
One more, Watson.
Holmes, I am appalled. Your treatment of that poor defenseless animal was sickening. You have a total disregard for anyone's feelings. For heaven's sake, man, it's Christmas Eve. And above all else, Holmes, if you haven't noticed, I am now drenched in blood.
Do calm down, Watson. And yes, I had noticed that you were covered in blood. Indeed, that was the entire point of the exercise.
You brought a pig to our rooms, shot it 6 times with my revolver, and then slaughtered it with an axe, simply so that you could amuse yourself by covering me in its blood.
Steeped in blood, as Macbeth would have it. Now, Watson, I can't waste a moment. I must hurry to Lestrade to tell him about this.
You're going to laugh about this with Inspector Lestrade? This really is the final straw, Holmes. I simply won't stand for it.
Sorry, Watson. Must dash.
Don't bother coming back, Holmes. Not unless you want to end up like that poor pig. Sometime later that day, after I had drawn a hot bath and cleansed myself of the awful pig's gore with which I had been covered, I retired to my room. Though it was somewhat cowardly of me, I could not face returning to our drawing-rooms, and I could only hope that our landlady, Mrs. Hudson, would not return from her Christmas shopping until the ghastly mess had been cleaned away. My earlier feelings of loneliness and despondency had given way to a burning fury. How dare Sherlock Holmes treat me this way? Since my wife's death, not a word of condolence had passed his lips, and now he had gone to elaborate lengths to play a macabre joke on me, a joke he was even now sharing with Inspector Lestrade, making me the laughing-stock of Scotland Yard. I had had enough. Ah, I gather Mrs. Hudson is back from her Christmas shopping rather earlier than I had expected. As I thought more about Holmes and his inexplicable and lamentable treatment of me over recent weeks, it occurred to me that, as his chronicler, Holmes owed me his reputation to my writings about him. I had faithfully recorded all his most celebrated and intriguing cases, and they had been published in Strand magazine to much acclaim and public interest. Without me, Holmes may very well have faded into obscurity. I had also taken lengths to ensure that I had painted a rather flattering portrait of Sherlock Holmes. I had changed the facts of many cases to spare Holmes blushes. Now I vowed to tell the complete truth about the man, for the fact of the matter was that Holmes was not the great detective of public record. He was, in fact, rubbish, because Holmes was an imbecile. Yes, a bumbling, cowardly buffoon, and now I wanted to revisit the cases I had recorded and tell the world what really happened. Mention the name Mr. Sherlock Holmes, and the mind immediately associates him with his most famous and celebrated case, the Hound of the Baskervilles. It was a case, I might add, that Holmes absented himself from for most of its duration, leaving the bulk of the detective work to me. Holmes finally deigned to join me on the godforsaken Grimpenmire, the bleakest spot on the whole of Dartmoor, just as the spectral hound made its spectacular entrance.
My God, Watson, did you hear that?
It is nothing to be frightened of, Holmes.
But I am frightened, Watson. Frightened for my very life. The big dog is coming to eat me.
Get a grip on yourself, Holmes. Stop being so rubbish.
I can't help it, Watson. I'm not as brave and as strong and as handsome as you.
I know that, Holmes. Few men are my equal.
It's coming towards us, Watson.
A hound it was. An enormous coal-black hound, but not such a hound as mortal eyes have ever seen. Fire burst from its open mouth. Its eyes glowed with a smouldering glare. Its muzzles, hackles, and dewlap were outlined in flickering flame. Never in the delirious dream of a disordered brain could anything more savage, more appalling, more hellish be conceived than that dark form and savage face which broke upon us out of the wall of fog.
I'm scampering.
You're going to leave me to deal with this creature on my own?
Yes. Sorry.
You're a coward, Holmes. As Holmes ran away like a frightened little girl, I stood foursquare and resolute against the savage beast that leapt out of the fog towards me. I calmly cocked my revolver and took aim. Then, as the animal made to attack me, I emptied 5 barrels of my revolver into the creature's flank. With a last howl of agony and a vicious snap in the air, it rolled upon its back 4 feet, pawing furiously, and then fell limp upon its side. I stooped, panting, and pressed my pistol to the dreadful, shimmering head, but it was useless to press the trigger. The giant hound was dead. Having altered my original manuscript of The Hound of the Baskervilles to reflect the true facts of the case, I felt my anger towards Sherlock Holmes abating. I put the document aside, intending to mail it to my publishers at the first opportunity, and help myself to a generous brandy. That's just what the doctor ordered. And then I helped myself to another one. When the bottle had been emptied, I eased myself into a comfortable chair, and I found myself succumbing to weariness. It was only a matter of minutes before I sank into a deep sleep.
Here we are. It took a while to roast, so it tells me.
Mrs. Hodson, you've excelled yourself. It looks and smells delicious.
Oh, you're so kind, Mr. Holmes.
Oh, my head. I woke on that Christmas morning to a headache that, as the doctor, I knew would be fatal to a lesser man. I could also hear voices coming from the drawing-room, and I listened to them for a few moments as I waited for the dull throbbing in my cranium to ease.
Mr. Holmes, I cannot thank you enough for all that you have done for me. You truly are a most extraordinarily kind, thoughtful, and remarkable man.
Think nothing of it, Miss Violet. The work is its own reward.
The young lady I could hear was Violet Spedding, the comely maiden I was intending to woo. It irritated me to hear the way she was flattering Sherlock Holmes, and I decided I would join them in the drawing-room so that I could tell the poor girl just how wrong she was about Holmes. But first I needed to freshen up and make myself presentable. I dressed in my finest clothing, straightened my shoulders and my regiment tie, and then made my entrance into the drawing-room.
Ah, there you are, Watson. Good afternoon to you, and Merry Christmas, old friend.
Hello, Holmes. What do you mean, good afternoon? It's morning, you imbecile.
My, you are grumpy, Watson. It must be quite a hangover you are experiencing. Mrs. Hudson, perhaps you would be kind enough to tell the good doctor what the time is.
Yes, of course, Mr. Holmes. Dr. Watson, it is 1:30 in the afternoon of Christmas Day.
Good Lord! I must have overslept.
Oh, do not let it trouble you, old fellow. Come, draw up a chair. Mrs. Hudson has prepared us a Christmas feast. Roasted pig.
I am rather hungry, now you've come to mention food, Holmes. I think I'll join you at the table.
Capital. And now, Watson, you are of course familiar with our dinner guest, Miss Violet Spedding.
Yes, of course.
It is always a pleasure and an honor to see you, Dr. Watson.
You may recall that she called upon us a few days past regarding the matter of a father who had been arrested by these blunderers at Scotland Yard for a crime in which he was entirely innocent.
And now, thanks to you, Mr. Holmes, my father is a free man, and the real culprit is safely behind bars.
I could not have solved the case without the invaluable assistance of Dr. Watson. It is to him that you owe any gratitude.
What?
I will be happy to show the handsome Dr. Watson just how thankful to him I am.
You will?
Oh, yes. I will do anything for you, Doctor. Anything you wish.
Crumpet, Dr. Watson?
Yes, please.
Here you are, Doctor. Now be careful you don't eat too many. You must leave room for the roasted pig. I have to thank you again, Mr. Holmes, for providing the pig. It's a splendid Christmas present.
Think nothing of it, Mrs. Hudson.
Holmes, do you think I might have a word with you in private?
I'll just tend to the fire as you gentlemen talk business. I fear the embers are dying down. Miss Violet, perhaps you would care to assist me?
I'd be delighted to, Mrs. Hudson.
Holmes, I confess I haven't a clue what is occurring here. Yesterday you treated me abominably, and I was extremely angry with you. And yet, today things are perplexingly different.
I owe you an apology, Watson, and an explanation.
Both would be very welcome, Holmes.
Watson, my sincere apologies for soaking you in blood. I can assure you that it was an absolutely vital experiment that proved conclusively the innocence of Arthur Spedding, the father of your future wife.
My future wife?
I have seen the way you look at her, Watson, and the favourable look she gives you in return. And I have not failed to notice how lonely you have been feeling since your second wife passed away in the autumn.
My third wife, Holmes. But how did soaking me in pig's blood help to solve the case?
Ah, that is elementary, my dear Watson. Arthur Spedding was arrested because he was soaked in the victim's blood and was found near the body. Let me lead you step by step through the facts of the case. On the night of the 22nd of December, Mr. Arthur Spedding was walking home along Oxford Street after working late. Mr. Spedding had been injured during the campaign in Afghanistan and could no longer speak. New to the world, his other senses had compensated, and he has acute hearing. That night, as he walked home, he heard 6 gunshots coming from the house on the corner. The killer was using cloth to silence the weapon, so to ordinary ears, the shots would have barely registered. But to Mr. Spedding, they sounded clear and loud. Mr. Spedding ran to the corner house. The door was locked, so he kicked it in. There, in the living room of the corner house, he saw the killer, James Parker, about to chop up the body of the victim, Matthew Johnson, with an axe. He stood there, rooted to the spot in horror, as the axe fell 2 times. The blood sprayed over poor Mr. Spedding, who then fainted dead away. The killer, Johnson, saw his opportunity and fled the scene, leaving Mr. Spedding to be found by the body, covered in blood.
My God, Holmes, you're amazing.
The case was not without interest, Watson. That is all.
Oh, dearie me, I fear the fire's gone out.
I shall attend to it, Mrs. Hudson. I have a manuscript I wish to burn.
You were working late last night, Watson?
Some revisions I had considered to an earlier case, Holmes. I've entirely changed my mind on the matter, and I venture the paper will make an excellent fire.
Perhaps you will join me under the mistletoe later, Dr. Watson.
I'd be delighted to, Miss Violet.
Merry Christmas, Watson.
And a Merry Christmas to you, Holmes.
The Misadventure of the Disgruntled Physician was written by Vince Stadon, based on characters, plots, ideas and just about everything else by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Mr. Sherlock Holmes was played by Jeff Niles. Dr. John H. Watson was played by Elie Hirschman. Miss Violet Spedding was played by Danny Cutler. Mrs. Hudson was played by Lisanne Hayward. The Hound of the Baskervilles was played by himself. The theme music, Suit for Strings, was composed and created by Alan Morin. Incidental music by Alan Morin. Special thanks to Andy Flees for permission to use Deck the Hall. No pigs, gigantic hounds or disgruntled physicians were harmed during the making of this episode.
This has been an All Better Audio production.
This production was stitched together by the 477, making audio sound all better.